They say the truth doesn't scream. It waits for the lie to trip over itself. Ezra McCandless sat curled in her chair, voice soft and cracking.
I was sitting on the counter after I made some coffee and I was talking to him and he just grabbed me by the throat.
She whispered. The detective didn't flinch.
Did he use a right hand or left hand or both hands?
It was his right hand.
A minute later, he asked again. Same tone, same calm.
How did you get away from that grab?
The silence stretched too long. Through controlled empathy and quiet repetition, he dismantled her narrative one contradiction at a time. This is expectancy violation theory in action, when a liar rehearses for confrontation, but instead meets quiet precision.
It really made me very uncomfortable.
But the pertinent questions are who this satanic woman is, what happened on March the 22nd, 2018, and how detectives psychologically trap her with a perfect bait.
McCandless was sentenced to life in prison back in 2020 for the stabbing death of her ex-boyfriend, Alex Woodworth.
Welcome back to my channel. I don't have many followers, but your single comment is a ray of hope for me. On a cold afternoon of March 22nd, 2018, in the small town of Menominee, Wisconsin, 21-year-old Ezra McCandless drove through light rain toward a rural dead-end road. Sitting beside her was 24-year-old Alex Woodworth, her former lover and close friend. The two had met to talk things out after weeks of emotional turmoil, accusations, jealousy, and confusion over her relationships with multiple men. As clouds gathered and the chill deepened, their conversation turned into a heated argument inside the car. Moments later, Ezra plunged a knife into Alex 16 times, killing him. She then carved the word boy into her own arm, drove away, and staged herself as a victim of assault. Later, she stumbled to a nearby farmhouse, claiming she'd been attacked. But the cops noticed contradictions in her story, so they brought her in for interrogation, and today, we will focus on the psychological elements of this interrogation.
Sitting in that chair quickly, and I'll move up the rest of the chairs that way. If you need anything, water or a snack, I'll do what I can here for you, okay? Alright, so, that's the Eau Claire Police Department. Before we begin, like I said, you're free to leave anytime you want. You can stop talking whenever you want. The door is closed for privacy. You can leave anytime you want, okay? Just let me know that ahead of time. How do you say your first name?
Ezra.
What's your middle initial?
J.
And how do you your last name, miss?
McCandless.
Josh called us. Obviously, he was concerned about your safety and Jason's safety. He was concerned that he felt like he hadn't slept for 8 days. And he didn't know if he was tired from that or if he was exhausted from that. So that was our first concern. We should be okay physically. If you guys are, he also mentioned that Jason's upset about something that happened to you that hasn't been reported yet. Okay. Again, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. If you do, that's fine too.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
At the beginning of the interrogation, detectives create a calm, emotionally safe environment. By telling Ezra that she's free to leave anytime and that the door is only closed for privacy, they use empathic framing, a psychological tactic based on Carl Rogers' person-centered theory. This approach lowers the suspect's natural resistance by reducing the perception of threat. When a person feels accepted and not immediately judged, their cognitive defenses weaken, making them more open to suggestion and self-disclosure.
So we'll start with what you're comfortable with as far as you told me I haven't had Eau Claire, correct? You know where?
It happened at... The first thing that happened was at Jason's house, and then the second thing that happened was at John's house.
Okay. We'll go with, what happened at Jason's house?
At Jason's house, John grabbed me by the throat twice.
Okay. Any reason why he did that?
Because he liked him.
He likes to do that? Like, is that like a fetish of his, or?
I think so.
Okay. Was there any kind of warning sign that, like, did you do something? Did you say something? Did he do something? Did someone else say something that?
I was sitting on the counter after I made some coffee and I was talking to him and he just grabbed me by the throat and nothing grew to say.
Okay.
And then the second time I got off the counter and he put me in a headlock and he held it there. And it really made me very uncomfortable.
Some questions I may ask you, and they sound really redundant, very obvious, but these are questions that I have to ask just to get more clarity as far as, for example, like you mentioned that he grabs you in the throat. Did he use a right hand or left hand or both hands?
It was his right hand.
When a detective asks straightforward yet emotionally neutral questions, such as, was it your right hand or left hand? They are applying Festinger's cognitive dissonance theory, 1957, by forcing Ezra to provide specific sensory and spatial details about an event that never occurred. The detective subtly increases mental strain. Each fabricated answer creates internal tension between truth and fiction.
When he grabbed you the right hand, did he squeeze your throat, or did he just put his hand around the throat?
Squeezed my throat forcibly.
Okay. Did that cause you to have any trouble breathing?
Yes.
Okay. Did you lose consciousness at all? Did you black out?
I felt really lightheaded after the second time he grabbed me.
That was the headlock, correct? Okay. Did you see any kind of like little fuzzy, shiny things floating around when that happens? Have you ever had that experience before where you shortness of breath or you get a wind knocked out and you also see like little like glittering things floating around? Okay, so, but that happened though. Okay.
I just coughed a lot.
Okay. Does your throat still hurt now? Okay. When he had his right hand on your throat, how did you get away from that grab?
And he just sat there and he let go.
Okay. Were you hitting his hand at all? Were you telling him to stop? Were you telling him no?
I just was quiet. I just grabbed his hand.
Okay.
And grabbed his wrist. It's like 6 foot something. Really big.
Okay.
As the interrogation progresses, repetitive questioning about simple details, which hand, did you black out, is not redundancy. It's a deliberate psychological strategy based on cognitive load theory. Sustained lying requires higher mental effort than truth-telling. By keeping Ezra in a cycle of redundant questions, the detective exhausts her working memory capacity.
How long was there between when you were sitting on the counter and he grabbed you by the throat and then he let go? How long after that did he be in a headlock after you walked away from the counter?
Almost suddenly.
Okay. When he had you in the headlock, was his left hand arm around you, or was his right arm around you? Okay. If there's anything that you don't know, that's fine too. Right? If there's anything that you don't want to answer, or if you just want to take a few minutes and breaks and just kind of take your time, that's fine with me too, okay? If there's any questions that you don't feel comfortable with me asking, that's fine too. So don't be afraid to say, I'm not comfortable answering that, or I don't want to talk about that, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you don't care, it doesn't mean that this isn't real, it's just take your time. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to rush you. If it feels like I am, just tell me. Okay? When he had you in a headlock, did you also have trouble breathing?
That's what made me cough.
Okay.
By frequently assuring Ezra that she can stop talking whenever she wants, the detective invokes the self-determination theory by Desi and Ryan. Giving her perceived control reduces her anxiety and builds a false sense of power. In reality, this tactic works to keep her engaged because suspects who feel autonomous are less likely to shut down or request counsel.
When he had you in the headlock, again, how did you have to fight him off? Did he let go eventually?
Put my arm up and he let go.
Okay. Was there anyone there when this happened? Okay. And Ryan, you mentioned a counter at Josh's place. Is the kitchen?
Jason's place.
Jason's place. Okay.
It was the kitchen.
Okay. Does Jason live here? Okay, so after he grabbed the rope with his right hand and the headlock, and he let you go out of the headlock, what happened after that?
I just went and I sat down and he acted like everything was normal.
Okay. Did he say anything to you? Did he apologize?
He didn't say sorry.
Okay. Did he say anything else? Did he say anything else to you during that time after you sat down?
I can't remember what he said to me at the time.
Okay.
When the detective observes Ezra's tears and pauses empathetically, they employ emotional labeling, a concept rooted in affect labeling theory. Lieberman et al., 2007. By naming or acknowledging the emotion indirectly, you seem upset, take your time, the interviewer helps the suspect regulate anxiety enough to continue speaking.
Now, when I say this, I'm not trying to accuse you or anything, but what was the purpose of you being at Jason's place that night?
I was dating Jason.
I'm sorry?
Jason was my boyfriend.
Okay, so you and Jason are dating. Okay. That I did not know, so I just want to kind of clarify, that makes a lot of sense why you were there. Why was John there?
Because John was one of Jason's friends. He was my friend, and he came over because Jason was gone, and he wanted to just hang out and do art with me.
Okay. So Jason was at home then during this time. Okay. Were you at Jason's house the entire time? Okay. What time were you there, or what day did you get Jason's place?
I can't remember what day, but it was in the afternoon.
Okay. And when did this happen?
It's been a week.
Okay. Do you know the estimate time, day?
Around like noon, I think.
So after you sat down and John acted like everything was okay, what happened after that?
Jason came home and John got up and he left.
Okay. How long was it when you sat down until Jason got home?
It wasn't very long. He got home shortly.
Did you tell Jason what happened?
The detective occasionally responds with vague prompts like, okay, then what happened? Or how do you mean? A subtle use of Grice's cooperative principle, particularly the maxim of quantity. The lack of evaluative feedback forces Ezra to fill the silence with elaboration. In doing so, she inadvertently adds unnecessary details, increasing the probability of factual errors.
I told him everything tonight.
Okay. But at that time and a half, you didn't tell him. Okay.
That's what he's so upset tonight.
Was there a reason you didn't tell Jason what happened that night or that day afternoon?
Because I was really ashamed and I was really afraid.
When this incident happened, did John touch anywhere else or you didn't get permission to? Did he do anything else to you? Did he...
I don't know.
Okay. So as far as you know, is he just grabbed by his throat and then beat in a headlock, and each one caused you to have trouble breathing, cough, but you did not black out, lose consciousness. Okay. So after John left and Jason came home, John left. The second incident happened, that was at Josh's place?
It was at John's house.
John's house. When did that take place? That next day? The same day?
It was, I think it was a couple days later when Jason had to leave for drill because he's in the army.
Okay.
And John wanted me to come over to his house to talk about everything and talk about stuff. And he bought wine and things. And I thought it would be okay to have some wine and just try to talk and try to understand what was going on. And then I got really, really, really drunk.
Throughout the early interaction, the detective subtly mirrors Ezra's posture, tone, and speech rhythm. This reflects the principles of social synchrony theory, which suggests that nonverbal imitation increases feelings of familiarity and safety. By matching Ezra's quiet tone and relaxed pacing, the detective builds subconscious rapport.
I was almost blackout drunk, and I was throwing up. And he had me go upstairs when I started throwing up, and he took me upstairs, and he put me in his bed, and I was throwing up. I just remember a lot of, I don't know, it's a big mess of a bunch of fumbling and stuff, and it was awful.
When you were in John's room, was the light on, light off?
It was awful.
Now when you say fumbling around, was it like someone on top of you, someone laying next to you? Were you...
It was on top of me.
Did you for sure know it was John, or that it was just someone on top of you?
It was John.
Okay. When you felt this, what happened next?
It's really hard to remember because of how drunk that I got.
Okay.
I remember throwing up a lot, and I remember he was on top of me, but it didn't I was too drunk and like things weren't, I don't know if things weren't working for him or something. Mm-hmm. And then I fell asleep.
The detective's calm tone and gentle pauses project compassion, but that kindness is conditional. This aligns with cognitive appraisal theory, Lazarus, 1991, which posits that emotional evaluation drives behavioral response. By appearing supportive but withholding full empathy, the detective keeps Ezra oscillating between comfort and insecurity.
I just didn't think it was right. It messed me up really bad.
Okay. Do you think or believe or know, was there any kind of sexual intercourse that happened that night?
I think so, but he's telling everybody that there wasn't. And that's why Josh was being very protective of him. And it hurts really bad because I just want somebody to believe me.
Do you have any pain down there? Any soreness, any redness that you know of?
No.
Okay.
There's no need to use any protection.
Okay. No protection? Did you fight, scratch, kick, or anything like that that you remember of?
No.
Did you say try to get off? No. Did you try to he hold you down by force, or do you remember anything like that?
I don't remember much of that night.
Sorry. After you fell asleep and you woke up, do you know where you were when you woke up? Where were you?
I was in John's bed.
Do you remember having any clothes on? Blankets, cover sheets, anything like that?
I had blankets on, but I didn't have my tights on or my socks.
When Ezra cries, the detective doesn't rush to comfort, but quietly observes, a method grounded in effective forecasting theory. The suspect expects sympathy to reinforce her role as the victim. Withholding it disrupts that prediction, creating subtle emotional dissonance. This unfulfilled need for validation drives her to intensify emotional performance, inadvertently revealing rehearsed rather than spontaneous effect.
Were you wearing underwear that night? No? Oh, you didn't have any on either? Okay. Did you have a shirt on, or like a tank top, or what did you have on top?
I still had a dress on.
Were you able to find those clothes that belonged to you? Where were they located at?
They were on the floor. And just kind of scattered.
Where was John when you woke up?
He was in the bed.
Was he laying next to you on a different bed, or?
He was laying next to me. He woke up and he told me to get out of his bed and go lay in the other bed so that his roommate wouldn't think anything.
Was the other bed in a separate room or same room?
In a separate room. He told me he didn't want his roommate to think anything.
Did you go to the other bed, or where did you go after that?
I went to the other bed and I just laid there until the morning.
When you woke up, was it still nighttime? Was it the next day already?
It was the next day.
Okay. Were you to, do you remember what time you went to John's house?
When a detective asks questions about sequence and timing, what happened first? Then where did it occur? They use temporal anchoring grounded in source monitoring theory. Real memories are temporally coherent because they derive from direct experience. Fabricated ones are assembled conceptually and often lack stable temporal markers.
I think it was after he got done with work, so around 7
p.m. a.m.
p.m.
Okay. When you woke up, you know what time it was?
It was really early. It was like at 5 or 6 in the morning.
Okay. So you went to the other room around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. But you went in there, you just laid there, correct? You said you laid it the next morning, or?
I laid there until he got up, and then so he could take me home.
Okay. Do you know what time that was?
I think it was around 10 or 11.
Okay. And John took you home?
It was the thing Jason's most upset about is what happened at Jason's house after he took me home.
Okay. You took you all back home to his family, correct? Or where
To Jason's house.
Jason's house? Okay. Did they happen on a ride home from John's place to Jason's place?
It happened at Jason's place.
Okay. Nothing happened in the car though. Oh, okay. So after John woke up and took you to Jason's place, what happened then?
I got there and I thought Alex, our roommate, would be there, but he was at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there and he told me to go upstairs to Jason's room because he wanted.
Establishing when each event occurred. Afternoon arrival, night drinking, morning aftermath, draws from temporal context model in cognitive psychology. Memory distortion often collapses temporal order. By tying every action to an external anchor, time, day, location, the detective tests narrative linearity.
Because he wanted to do stuff to me on Jason's bed. Because that's what he wanted, because he told me that that's what gets him off. And he took me upstairs and he told me to take my clothes off. And so I did, because that's what I thought I had to do, because I thought I was a piece of garbage for going over to his house. I would never want to do that.
Be right back, okay? We'll use some tissue.
Because right now.
Can't find a trash can, so I'll just use it on the table. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Could you find out soon if Jason can come here?
Yeah, I can call our partner and see where they're at. I don't know if they're still talking or not, so I will call him shortly and see if he can come here again. Last enough off, he told me that John brought you back to Jason's place, and he told you to go upstairs because he gets off of that. When you say, he's off on it, what do you mean by what happened up in Jason's bed?
When Ezra recounts her version of events, the detective encourages her to go back and walk me through it again, a strategy based on schema theory and cognitive psychology. Genuine memories tend to remain stable in structure, while fabricated stories rely on surface-level rehearsal. By repeatedly looping the narrative, the detective disrupts Ezra's schema consistency.
He had me take my clothes off, and I let him use me. I regret it so much. I didn't want that to happen. So wrong.
Again, I'm not trying to say this to make you relive what happened, but when you say use me, what do you mean by that?
He had me perform oral on him, and then he did things to me with himself from behind. And he didn't use protection again, even though he should have. I wish he would have. He was like, nothing.
When you say the things behind, do you mean like sexual intercourse? Okay. Did you know if he used his penis, or did he use an object or his hand?
He used his penis.
When the detective transitions from neutral questions to subtle challenges, was anyone else there? Did he say sorry? He triggers schema violation theory. Humans store behavioral expectations, how victims or offenders typically act, by prompting Ezra to explain unnatural details, like why she stayed silent or failed to resist. He quietly exposes her deviation from the schema of an actual victim.
You mentioned earlier that you said you felt that you had to do this because of what happened prior to this, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if you mentioned that he didn't use protection either time when it happened at his place and again at Jason's place? Do you know if he ejaculated inside of you, or?
I couldn't afford Plan B the next day, and that's what I wanted to do.
I'm sorry?
I wanted to take Plan B the next day, but I couldn't afford it. I'm so upset.
After this happened in Jason's room, what happened after that?
After that, I just went and got coffee.
Near the midpoint, the detective dives into physical minutiae, clothing, bedding, body positioning, sequence of touch. This technique leverages cognitive load theory, Sweller, 1988. Lying consumes significant working memory. By demanding precise sensory recall, the detective exhausts her mental bandwidth. As load increases, emotional leakage and logical disarray emerge.
And I left the apartment and I was really upset.
You got coffee at a store or?
At Gracie's.
Where's that at?
That's on Water Street.
Okay. Gracie's? You know how to spell that?
C-Y-S.
Is that?
It's by the pickle.
Okay. So that's like the side viewing the window, viewing the river, correct? Okay. Okay, so you bring a coffee there. What did you do, or where did you go?
I don't really even remember. It's like I shut down. I went on autopilot.
Did he come back to Jason's place, or did he go somewhere else?
Somewhere else.
Okay, so he went somewhere else.
I can remember now what he said the night at his house.
What did he say?
When he was on top of me, he just kept telling me to be quiet and kept calling me little girl. That was so weird to me. And I told Jason about it and it made him really upset. And I really vividly remember it. I didn't like that. Can you see Jason's?
As Ezra finishes her story, the detective's final questions, then what happened? And after that, aren't curiosity but reality testing based on reality monitoring theory, Johnson and Ray, 1981. True experiences end with natural sensory closure, sights, feelings, environmental awareness. Fabrications end abruptly, lacking context. From a legal standpoint, the interrogation systematically dismantled Ezra McCandless's credibility. Through calm, repetitive questioning, the detective established internal inconsistencies in her account, contradictions in timeline, consent, and physical details. Her voluntary participation, lack of coercion, and continuous narrative adjustments make the interview admissible as evidence of fabrication. The detective achieved not only a psychological unmasking, but also laid a procedural foundation for proving mens rea, the deliberate intent to deceive law enforcement. Legally, this false report becomes a demonstrable act of obstruction, reinforcing the prosecution's argument of calculated manipulation and strengthening the chain of evidence leading to conviction.
Ezra McCandless, who was convicted in 2020 for killing her ex-boyfriend, has filed to have her case appealed again. You'll likely remember it was just in the last month that a Dunn County judge ruled she would not get a new trial.
In February 2020, Ezra McCandless was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 50 years for the murder of Alex Woodworth. The judge noted that the evidence showed clear premeditation and deliberate intent, rejecting her claims of self-defense. During sentencing, the court emphasized McCandless's pattern of manipulation, deceit, and lack of remorse throughout the investigation and trial. The decision reflected the court's conclusion that her actions were not impulsive but calculated, arising from a desire to control and punish those who exposed her lies.
McCandless was sentenced to life in prison back in 2020 for the stabbing death of her ex-boyfriend, Alex Woodworth. Her lawyers have maintained that the trial was compromised. They say her interviews with police were done illegally and should be excluded from a new trial.
The life sentence, with such a long minimum term before parole eligibility, ensures she will spend the majority of her life incarcerated. It also serves as a legal statement on the gravity of her conduct, falsifying claims, deceiving law enforcement, and committing a brutal killing, all of which established a foundation for one of Wisconsin's most chilling and premeditated homicide convictions.